In the news this week, Germany pays customers to use power and avoid waste. Nigerians react. Ibrahim Mago resolves to stay in office against all odds. Faced with Trump's alleged racist comments, Westerners pledge allegiance to alleged shitholes.
To serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain.
And now, it's the other news.
And here's your host, Okey Bakassi.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's another episode of The Other News. The Other News is your weekly stroll on the lighter side of news. A few months ago, our correspondent, D Humorous, said some interesting things about a very brilliant and distinguished Nigerian who is the co-founder of Transparency International. Well, I hope Dan will not run away because Dr. Mrs. Oby Ezekwesili is our guest today, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. All right. Well, yes. We'll talk to Auntie Oby and hear from Dan in a moment. But first is the Other News headlines. A PDP senator representing Ebonyi South Senatorial Zone was physically prevented by other PDP senators from crossing the aisle to defect to the APC. So it has come to the stage where we will be manually forcing people to stay in a political party, Abi? Okay. Why stop there? No need to fight. Let's just use this. Yeah, to make sure that politicians do not cross carpets. Anyway, over to sports now. Ahead of their March 31st unification bout, boxing champion Anthony Joshua's opponent, Joseph Parker, has accused Joshua of using steroids. Anthony Joshua has denied the allegation and has let us into his secret.
Give away my secret, but that's the pounded jam, Eba, a goosey. So that's
Pounded yam, Eba. Joseph Parker, you should be afraid, very, very afraid. All right. British Prime Minister has appointed a Minister for Loneliness. Well, the new Minister for Loneliness, Tracy Crouch, has been tasked with tackling social isolation. I can hear somebody in government house where they're saying, I think gonna see him. Well, but the Minister for Loneliness is not the Prime Minister's sister. Meanwhile, Mr. Governor, Alpha and Richards, how much? Yeah, I never forget. A woman who is alleged to have gone around impersonating Nigeria's First Lady, Aisha Buhari, has been arrested. Thankfully, the imposter was stopped before impersonating her all the way into the other room. Because that one for be another problem. My guest is a chartered accountant, activist, and former Honorable Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. She has served as Vice President of the World Bank and now sits on the board of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. The bureaucrats know her as Madam Due Process, but the rest of us fondly refer to her as Auntie Oby. Please give a round of applause as we welcome Mrs. Oby Ezekwesili. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome, madam. Oh. Yes. Yeah, it is not every day that I get to interview a very, very powerful woman. So you see, I'm very, very excited today, madam. You're welcome. And I wouldn't waste any time in going straight to as former Minister of Education, you see the sorry state of our education. What is happening?
I think that fundamentally we missed the opportunity to continue with complete overhaul of the education system. At the time that I was minister, and we looked at all the data that could tell us the state of the education system and sector, I did say to the country that we had a dysfunctionality on our hands, and that when you have a dysfunctionality, you don't throw money at it. What you do is that you set the system right, and then you invest in it.
I'm sure some of us who are interested in the educational sector will want to know one of those dysfunctionalities.
For example, we had a sector where the more that you invested in it, in other words, the more money that you budgeted for it, the less the performance of the children.
Whoa.
So we tracked a budget that had been given to education over a period of, say, a decade. And we found that as the budget was going up, the performance, we'd use the proxy of performance of students in the West Africa certificate examination.
What would be responsible for that kind of anomaly?
So
you
there
put
are
in
many
more money,
factors.
you get less results.
There are many factors.
Yeah.
If you're putting in more money in the wrong things, then it's definitely not going to affect
Where
the
were they
learning
where were they
outcomes.
putting it?
Well, you know, some things like all kinds of construction things, because those things were the things that offered opportunity for corruption. I call them transactions.
Nigeria again. Okay, thank you. What was it like serving in a male-dominated cabinet? You know how too much testosterone in the building, too much ego, and I don't know. I've never been in that.
I don't think knowledge has a gender.
Amazing. I like that. Somebody please help me know that. Okay, so there were no threat at all.
None. I mean, the fact is you had instances where people did not understand how to relate. Yeah. And then you as a woman, understanding that you're a professional and that you're at the table on the basis of your knowledge, you didn't have to in any way try to underrate yourself or to even give anybody any sense that they could.
Knowing how we are here, didn't your level of education or confidence intimidate a few men?
Actually, I had a particular colleague who later on became the governor of one of the states. Yeah. Every time he saw me, he would say, "Oby, you're intimidating me." and then the Minister of Finance at that time, Minister Adamu Shiroma, that is an elderly friend, he would say to me, "Oby, intimidate him some more."
You're quite intimidating, I must confess. But anyway, recently you started the Red Card movement. What is the Red Card movement about?
Oh, I came with my card.
Oh, fantastic.
This is my card.
Okay.
I am saying to the existing political class, game over. Get off the pitch.
Wow. I like that. Game over. It's time to quit, people.
These two political parties have failed us for too long, and I don't think that anyone is in any of these so that one of the same kind of 6.5 dozen would continue to give us poor governance in this society. The time for governance failure is over. What I have said is, even if I were the only one waving my red card at these failed political gladiators, what would happen is the universe will echo over my red card, and something amazing will happen.
Okay. I like that, because one thing I know for sure is that when you start something, you don't back down. I like that. I like that about you. So I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to push this.
Can I show you this one?
Oh, what is that
By
about?
the time we wave this,
then we'll use this.
Then we use this. So what we're saying
that is your voters card.
We're saying that my PVC, my red card, because we send these ones off the pitch and we use this to get. Well, okay, really, I think people just need to understand that the idea of the red card movement is we want to change the dominant values that guide the way we are governed, the way we are as a people. We cannot be a society that's built on vice. We must be a society built on healthy values. We must be a society that rewards good behavior and punishes bad behavior. And so what we're saying is, okay, all of you, you have produced dismal outcome in governance. Enough. Let's now get new minds that will position us so that Nigeria can claim the 21st century. Do you think we can?
We can.
This is the
if
card.
we do the right things. Okay. Thank you. It's already exciting, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's still the other news, and we are talking to the very distinguished Mrs. Oby Ezekwesili. Madam, yes, the war against corruption is one of the cardinal agenda of the ruling party. Is the war against corruption succeeding?
It isn't succeeding. It could do much better than it is doing. And the reason is that it has lacked a comprehensiveness. In order to effectively tackle corruption, which is something that we've seen in other societies that once suffered systemic corruption, endemic corruption, you've got to be comprehensive. So there is the general reorientation of society, and that has to be led by the leader, political willingness, political will to really fight corruption, pulls the whole society and says, we must change the climate of tolerance for corruption. Then sanctions, where when people who fail to be stopped by the preventions that you've put go ahead and do corruption, they know predictably that they will be sanctioned. And they will be sanctioned on the basis of the rule of law, where no man is above the law. It doesn't matter what party you join.
Now, there's this argument that in Chibok, at least conservatively, I don't have the right statistics, at least more than 2,000 people would have been taken from that community. People are saying that the emphasis on the Chibok girls alone, don't you think it has kind of endangered that particular number? It has kind of made them high targets because they took a lot of people from that community. But there's this fixation on the students, I mean the Chibok girls.
No, it would be a faulty way to look at the human life. I'm sorry. Okay. The reason is this. First, let me cast very serious doubt on your 2,000 taken from Chibok community. Okay. The Chibok people have been very good at keeping numbers of people missing amongst them. Number two is that...
Any idea of the numbers, at least so that for people who are listening?
You can even talk about the Northeast. You don't look at the Northeast.
So that is it's more than 2,000,
suddenly
right? No, just for the purposes of this discussion.
How many people
I need to just have a number.
It must be much more than that. Because the Nigerian military many times told us 3,000 people rescued, 4,000 people rescued, that they never told us were missing.
Yeah.
Remember? So. The only first time that we could truly establish identity of people who were missing and families that said, we're missing our people, was the case of our Chibok girls. Yes. Now, girls go to school and they are removed from their classroom. So our society is supposed to just keep quiet. Let me tell you something. A friend of mine who died last year, Elie Wiesel, he's a Nobel Peace winner, a Nobel Peace winner. Yeah. And Elie said that the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. An indifferent society is a society that endangers itself. We cannot possibly have been told, with parents crying about their children, and we face all other issues, majoring in minor, and say to the children, 219 children, that it's their lot to be taken by terrorists. What kind of a society does that?
All right. You've been very active on social media. You know, everybody knows that, and you engage.
I used it to tell them that you don't know the difference between a pearl and a bead.
Yeah,
what a shame.
By the way, your Twitter reaction to the edition that we carried you, I mean, shows you have a very great sense of humor. We enjoyed reading your tweet here in the studio.
I'm usually too serious. People think I don't laugh.
Yeah, because anytime we see you on TV, it's one advocacy, one activism. You know, it's you opening your eyes, and we are thinking, this woman. You know, when you were coming here, I was wondering. I said, which question do I ask today? Okay, but so far it's been very good. Yeah.
But because you're also good.
Yeah. Now, thank you so very much. Now, because you've been active on social media, I know how the social media space is today. You know, youngsters, no chills, no respect. Don't they anger you sometimes?
No.
Don't you feel insulted sometimes?
No.
When they take you on?
Because you see, their time is a time where part of being creative, part of being innovative and being inventive is really that freedom of expression. The only thing that I don't like is when it goes to the level of becoming totally unruly. But if it is
And they do that a lot.
yes, but and then I teach. So when I see
As a
that,
teacher.
I teach. But in terms of that liberty to state their mind and to disagree, I love it. Bring it on.
Wow, thank you. And I'm sure the young people will love this. Is there politics in your future? Partisan politics.
I've been sort of trying to, look at my gene to see whether there's any bit of the political gene in me.
Yeah.
The morning I wake up and I find it, I would enter politics.
That's a smart answer. It's been so wonderful talking to you, madam. It's nice to have you in the studio again. Ladies and gentlemen. Whoa. Yeah. International news outlets reported last week that Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, grew frustrated with lawmakers discussing immigration policies. Referring to Haiti and African countries, Donald Trump asked, why would we want people from shithole countries? This is not the first time the leader of a country has said negative things about us. Former British Prime Minister David Cameron said this about Nigeria.
Nigerians, we've actually got some leaders of some fantastically corrupt countries.
He called us fantastically corrupt. And a leader you may recognize was asked about Cameron's comments by international news media. He had this to say.
I think he's being honest about it.
And by the way, what is wrong with being a shithole? It is a very important location that must be visited at least once a day if you are normal. In fact, if you don't visit the shithole often enough, your body will swell. And anyway, you know what will begin to come out of your mouth. So, I'm not going to sit here and start debating whether or not Nigeria and Africa is whatever hole. Yeah, you people have done enough of that already on Twitter. But it was our land that gave you the people who built your country and your economy. Talking to you, Mr. Trump. It is true, Nigerians are in fact everywhere. We are like the black Chinese people of the world. I'm sure when Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the surface of the moon, first got there, he met a Nigerian who greeted him and said, Oga Armstrong, anything for your boys? The Lagos chapter of Nigeria Medical Association said that at least 40,000 out of 75,000 registered Nigerian doctors are practicing abroad, while 70% of the ones practicing in the country are looking for opportunities abroad because of long-standing failures. Nigeria can boast of the best professionals all over the world, but we must admit we have failed to provide quality leadership, which is why people like Trump has the guts to call us shithole. Plato once said that the consequence of not participating in political process is that your inferiors will govern you. Are our best governing us? If you ask anyone that has held public office, they will tell you that they did a great job. So why is Nigeria like this? Why are Nigerians running away from their country? Is it because of the other news? Certainly not. Nigerians in the USA have the highest level of education in the United States of America. Nigerians are more educated than white people, and even Asians on average, according to a study by Rice University in the US. The US Census Bureau estimated that 37% of Nigerians had bachelor's degrees. 17% held a master's degree, while 4% held doctorates. Nigerians in America know book the way Americans know fast food. So enough of the insults from Donald Trump. We need more Nigerians to come back home. After all, taxes are lower in Nigeria and taxes are high in America. America want to fight North Korea because their leaders want to find out who has the biggest button in the land. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, the only thing that can cause fights with other countries is jollof rice. So here is safer. My people, we are Nigerians. We are Africans. And we are proud. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Let us continue to do our best and encourage the best of us to participate in the political process. And by God's grace, we'll make Africa great again. Thank you. Well, coming up on the other news, our correspondent Dan the Humorous tells us what it takes to win an election. You don't want to miss this one. We'll be back. Welcome back. You are watching the other news. Now the political season is here. Even as INEC is preparing its staff to conduct the elections and political thugs are rehearsing their moves for 2019, our own Dan the Humorous has taken up a political side business with which he hopes to cash out. Let's see what Dan has gotten himself into this time around.
I asked a few political aspirants, do you think you will win the 2019 elections? And one of them said yes. I said, how? I have won election for several people. I would have called their names, but I always signed NDA, non-disclosure agreement. But today, I will let you into the world of my masterclass. So my dear aspirants, what you have right here in front of you forms the core and the basis of your election victory. And they are the 3 W's of winning election. First thing, you wow them with your charisma, with your enchantment. The next thing, you woo them. You let them know you want to run for office. Or in some cases, you send people that will come and say, oh, I want to run. Oh, you don't want to run. Blah, 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 blah. And the next thing is you window them. Now when you win, yes?
Window. Don't you mean swindle them?
Madam, if you confuse me and put 2 W and 1 S, will it rhyme? The S here is silent. What is your plan for the funding of your campaign?
Well, my campaign, I want to go and meet some of my church members, some of my friends that believe in good governance.
My brother, you have just failed your election.
Jesus.
Because with that means of funding, you can't even print poster. The original way to have your campaign being bankrolled is to involve political investors, aka godfathers. And in return, you reward them with contract. Not anyhow contract, but juicy contract. Keyword, juicy. Not contract like carrot, not contract like cucumber. Contract like watermelon, contracts like pineapple, maybe banana, it can fall on them. Orange, they can manage. Contracts that are juicy. The next key element, you need to guarantee election victory. The political rice. Do not play with the political rice. When you give this rice to the people, rebag it. Put your face on the label. So that when they eat the rice, all they think about is you. And the ones that will eat your rice and not vote for you, they'll purge. Another key factor that you need is social media. Congratulate artists that you don't know their music before when they win an award. Let people know that you are current. Most importantly, take pictures. Upload. Pictures of when you are buying barley on the road. Picture of when you are buying corn, roasted corn on the road. Picture of when you are drinking pure water. Drinking tea from sachet milk. Do you understand? Another key aspect is you make wild promises. Elevate the expectations of the people. Whatever they need, you take it up a notch. If you go to where they need a borehole, you tell them, I give you a waterfall. Give you an example of a wild promise.
Like provide free Wi-Fi for market women and provide POS for Okada Keke riders.
Wonderful! You're on your way to victory. And now, with all of this in mind, the most important factor of them all, without which all these are mere waste, everybody in the system must hold something. Even if they do all the debate and you carry first in all the debate. And silent all things.
So, aspirants, all it takes is just to attend my masterclass. This Dan is full of surprises. I hope you were taking notes. Well, that's the other news for this week. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to the Other News CTV on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. And if you want to be part of our studio audience, simply call the numbers on your screen. Our people say that before you insult the crocodile, you must first make sure that your buttocks are out of the river. I'll see you next week. But in the meantime, if you see me walking down the road, don't be shy. Holla at your boy. My name is Okey. Bye-bye. Yeah.